without further ado, I'm going to let Angry Mark go ahead and get an intro to our guest for today.
All right, everybody. We have the one, the only, the best, one of the most entertaining gimmicks, I don't care what anybody says, one of the best bookers in TNA history. If this man was still there, they would have ratings. This man has done it all. He started wrestling in 1991. He had WWF experience. He's been everywhere. It's now time to bring in the one, the only, Disco Inferno.
What's up, guys?
Man, it is an honor to have you on the show today.
What's going on, brother?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the accolades, I guess. That's honored. I'm happy that you're honored to have me here.
Well, I mean,
yes, we are.
I don't care what anybody says. This is total shoot. You had one of the most entertaining gimmicks in WCW, hands down. Whether people loved you or hated you, they paid attention to you.
To be honest, I don't care what anybody says either. To be honest with you, I mean, when I was, whatever critics I have, or whatever the critics, the criticism of me, or whatever it was, I know that when all the matches I had, when I was working for WCW, when I was working the big time, that when I went out there, I held my own crowd reaction rise with the rest of the crowd. So, you can sit there, people could sit there and say, you could not like my work, but I entertained the people enough to where the crowd response merited what I got paid. And I feel very confident in what I did.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember watching you, okay? We're not that far apart in age, all right? And sitting there and your gimmick out there it was entertaining. You had me laughing. You had me yelling at the TV. But that was your job, and you did it. So I don't care what other people have to say. You still got paid, and you did your job.
Yeah, you know what, too, though, bro? It's, how old are you?
39.
Okay, I'm 48. But I grew up watching, watching the Honky Tonk Man, watching Jake the Snake, watching Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Austin Idol, Mr. Wrestling number 2. I grew up watching entertainers. Okay, we can sit there. The funniest thing is it was professional wrestling back then, but back during the 80s and the time I grew up watching wrestling, late 70s to the 80s, bro, it was sports entertainment. The characters were entertainers. They were over the top. Came later, but bro, let me tell you something. It was sports entertainment back in the day. Dusty Rhodes was a sports entertainer. Mr. Wrestling number 2 was a sports entertainer. So watching that, and I basically, educated myself on the sports entertainment aspect of professional wrestling, and parlayed it into a career. And that's kind of like the thing that maybe a lot of people don't even really know about. Like growing up in that era where on weekly TV, I get to hear, Ric Flair promos every single week on TBS, on WCW, 6 o'clock on Saturday night. Dusty Rhodes promos every week. Watching, WOR, watching the WWE, and then getting to hear Piper's Pit every single week. I grew up in an era where where basically that's what professional wrestling should be, is what it was. I'm proud that I was able to basically educate myself off those guys, and most of them are Hall of Famers now, and that I emulated my career off that. Whoever, if you're critical of it, there could be people that watch what I do or what I did in WCW, and you'll show it to a 22-year-old kid today, and they probably won't like it. because they've been educated during a different era, a different period of time, a different type of wrestling. But, I'm happy that I was able to grow up in probably the greatest era of professional wrestling. That was like the late 70s through the 80s and the early 90s.
Well, I mean, something was going right for you guys, down in WCW because the ratings reflected it, and it, that'll never change. That's still going to go down in history. The Monday Night Wars, you were a part of it. You really weren't as part of much of the downfall. You were there during the peak. And
bro, let me just say real quick. The 97 roster of WCW, I was part of the greatest roster in the history of professional wrestling. And it can't even be argued. Like the talent we had in 1997 when the NWO was kicking in and we were kicking ass in ratings at our highest point. You can't even compare anything to that to what we had on that show. And I'm proud that I was a part of that, and it's honored to be considered that I was a weekly player on that team.
Well, with that being said, I want to kick this off with the first question. Tell us the origins of the Disco Inferno gimmick.
Pretty simple. It's good friends with Raven, and he's a brilliant guy. And both of us had very similar philosophies on professional wrestling. Both of us were always, bro, this is funny. There's a tape that exists today that Raven has never showed anybody. But, we were always, this is back when he was Scotty the Body. I knew him before he was Raven, right? Raven was actually the brainchild of Kim Page, Dallas Page's wife, who came up with that gimmick. Okay, but I was, we were always searching for a gimmick. Like we were looking for a character. I was just basically an indie guy. Like I was wrestling my characters. I was calling myself the Brooklyn Stud, and just typical indie cheesy gimmicks, right? So we were trying to find characters, and it's funny because Raven we shot a tape of Raven doing a Pauly Shore takeoff gimmick. Okay, and he was like, "Ow, buddy!" And bro, only he and I know that tape exists still and everything. And he'll call me up on the phone sometimes to repeat the lines from that promo tape that he had. But that was just a little sidebar. But basically, he had known a guy named Dr. Johnny Holiday that was wrestling in Calgary because Scotty wrestled in Calgary at one point, and he had a tape of it. And Dr. Johnny Holiday, still character. But the guy did it just really wrong. All he did was wear a white jacket to the ring, like a disco jacket. The rest of the tights and stuff and everything were normal, and he just went out there and didn't, he did the gimmick very poorly. So I basically, he wouldn't do it anymore, and I just took that gimmick, parlayed it. We thought of a name. I can't remember who came up with the actual name. I think I did. And basically, came up with the gimmick of Disco Inferno, and then if Raven had never showed that to me, I probably would have never thought of that character.
Wow. So, this is kind of a little segue, but Raven, everybody knows how brilliant he was, still is. Why do you think he's not currently involved with a major organization, considering the mind he has for the business?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, let me tell you something. There are shows. Did you remember those little weekly pay-per-views that TNA did back in 2003 from the Asylum?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Did you get a chance to watch any of those?
God, it's been years, Disco.
Years.
Years.
Yeah, I don't remember.
There were weekly pay-per-views. If you didn't pay for them, you probably didn't get to see them. All right. Let me tell you something. Go on YouTube. They have some of those shows on. Bro, I'll put those shows up that the year 2003 TNA Asylum shows up against anything that's been done on TV, including the Attitude Era Raws. Bro, those were fantastic shows. Okay, and let me tell you something. The reason those shows were so good is the 3.5-hour drive from Nashville was usually me, Russo, Raven, Perry Saturn, and Mike Sanders. And we would book probably like half the stuff on that show during that drive and come up with something like, bro, if you just watch some of those shows and just some of the angles and the promos and stuff, bro, it was great TV. And you'll see a lot of influence of coming from the mind of Scotty, me, Vince and stuff, and just a lot of really brilliant stuff on those shows. But Scotty was just always, bro. He back in the day, he just had a drug problem, and it created his what do I want to call it? Kind of his kind of like kind of irritating to be around sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like people didn't really want to associate with him because he was so out there and such a mess sometimes and stuff and things like. But his brain, his intelligence, counted for something, and it probably still should count for something, because there's only a handful of guys whose opinions I really truly respect is that they really really truly get it in this business, and he's definitely one of them. But bro, guys like me, guys like him, guys like Russo, but we're not going to get jobs. People the companies we work for are scared of bringing us back, and WWE probably don't want to have anything to do with us, basically, because bro, we're kind of like pariahs in the business. So much shit talked about us and stuff and everything, but I mean, I'll let the business go the way it's going. I don't have a say in it. I can't do anything about it, but there are a lot of people that probably, if you took them and put them in charge of a product or in charge of the creative direction, would probably, turn the product of wrestling, which is, what it is today, away from an uncool, an uncool niche product which nobody really watches anymore, and pointing it back in the direction of the way it used to be. And, I don't think it'll ever happen, but I mean, it's funny to think that there are some guys out there that still get it, and they're just nobody really. I mean, a handful of people listen to them, but it's bro, we've cycled through a whole demographic of fans. Like wrestling's for the 18 to 34-year-old male audience. We were relevant back in the early 2000s, the late 90s. I mean, it's 16 years later. There's a whole new slew of young people that watch wrestling right now, and they probably wouldn't even know who we are or what we did.
Actually, I wouldn't say there's a whole slew of them much anymore. I mean, Jesus, the ratings just for Raw since the Attitude Era, I mean, they dropped 60%. TNA doesn't even get higher ratings than reruns of Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah. I mean, but bro, like I said, if you go back and just bro, it wasn't so much it was crash TV. That's what people call it. There's always words that have become bad words in professional wrestling are crash TV, sports entertainment. Mm-hmm. Those have kind of over the course of time have turned into dirty words. But really, bro, it's not what they really are. I mean, it wasn't. WWE wasn't just crash TV, means throw a bunch of shit against the wall and see what sticks. During the Attitude Era. Watch some of the shows. The shows had a pace. They didn't drag. They were fast moving. Right. There was always a lot of stuff going on. There was always a lot of characters. The characters, because they had so many different characteristics about them, they had a lot of conflict with a lot of other characters on the show. It created a fast moving show, and that's what pro wrestling should be. And
everybody made it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's wrestling's basically slowed down. What we see professional wrestling slowed down into today is all we care about is basically the match. How good is the match? These guys are having a match. How good was the match? How many stars was the match? How many these guys I can't wait to see these two guys work with each other. I can't wait to see their match. Bro, I used to like the promos. the build up the match. These days, it's like wrestling has gotten away from the model of two guys talking shit to each other for a few weeks and building up to a match. Now the internet builds the match. Like the internet bloggers and stuff, everything talk about how good workers these guys are, and boy, we can't wait to see them wrestle each other.
Yeah, like where are good vignettes anymore, Disco? Where did they go?
Bro, let me tell you something.
Well, I'm into it.
It's that's what develops characters. You bring in a guy, you show him for 3 or 4 weeks. Who is this guy, right? Bro, I don't know what happened to that formula, and whether what happened of how they allowed the mindset of basically indie wrestling and small time wrestling to just take the same characters that have been wrestling in front of like 300 and 400 people for small time shows on small time networks that don't draw a lot of people, and then just throwing them on the main show, the WWE show as is, without like remaking their character, no character makeover, no nothing, everything, because we pretended that they're a bigger deal than they actually are. It's like, I mean, you'll take these Ring of Honor guys, and well, they're showing up in the WWE as their Ring of Honor characters pretty much. And I'm like, going, how did that happen? I thought they were supposed to take the guys off the indies and give them gimmicks. Make them over, give them characters, give them new outfits, give them something. Bro, they've taken them as is and put them on the show. And I'm like, the whole process of what creates stars just doesn't exist anymore. And it's not a difficult process to repeat. Just take your time out and put some effort in.
Yeah, that is true. I definitely agree with that. Also, too, you really don't see a lot of fan interaction as much as you used to back in the day during the Monday Night Wars. And a lot of people feel that's something different. And a lot of the vignettes everybody seems robotic. Everything's scripted to the T. Every word is, scripts. Instead of going out and letting the guys be able to speak on their mind and have some fun and really be themselves, everything's scripted like a movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're watching a generation of performers that didn't grow up watching what we watched. Bro, let me tell you, I grew up with wrestling. Me and my friends, when we were younger, we would be cutting Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes promos at each other, and in the mirror. We're like, we would talk shit and stuff, and probably there's like, I mean, where are the fans of wrestling? Like everybody that broke in back in the day, when before the era of like the internet age, the Brooklyn before the internet age, like we were fans of like wrestling. We were fans of fans of Ric Flair, fans of Dusty Rhodes. Bro, you talk to guys like Chris Jericho and back when when I would ask Eddie and those guys or Benoit, who'd you like growing up? And they were like, the guys we were working with, Bret Hart and stuff. And we were working with our peers, It's like the guys, like pro wrestlers these days, it's like they're out there and it seems like they don't have that thing inside of them that makes them want to act like a professional wrestler should act. It's like they're uncomfortable being a professional wrestler. And it's like they have to be told things to do. And they're not comfortable doing the things that they're being told to do. Because they've never really done them before, never really I don't know whether it's like they've never been educated to it, but you just see a lack of comfort level in performing the skills required to be a professional wrestler, like throughout the industry these days. But one thing you don't see is these guys basically feel very comfortable going out there and performing, scripted acrobatics. Doing the, diving over the top rope onto each other, doing a bunch of high spots and everything. That's what professional wrestlers, they feel comfortable doing. But like the talking, the body language, the facials, the selling, the old school skills, bro, these like a lot of professional wrestlers today, throughout the industry, don't look comfortable doing things like that. And I think maybe it's just because they didn't grow up watching what we got to watch,
Well, with you saying that brings up a little pet peeve of mine. Like when you're talking about how WWE is bringing in the Ring of Honor, this indie talent, okay? When WWE says openly on TV that this guy has been wrestling for 15 years, okay, before he got there, that just, to me, that is so negative about the performer. Like, hey, it took me 15 years to make it. It's like you're kicking him in the balls.
But bro, like you're almost saying, like, you know, bro, that's the funny thing too. It's like there's an echo chamber that's in this business right now with regards to the quality of talent that's out there. You know, case that if it's taken a guy 15 years to get on the show, that could conceivably be one of the worst wrestlers that's ever been on the show.
Exactly.
Think about that. You know, most talent is, you know, at a very young age, we see it, it's developed, you got it, you've made it, and you know, bro, I was on the Indies for 3 years. You know, as soon as I got my tryout, I made it. It was a fast, but by the standards back then, it was a fast track. You know, like it's not like a Kurt Angle thing where you just started doing it and the next thing you know, the guy was like the world champion. But I picked it up real quick and developed, you know, big show skills very quickly. You know, where I was able to work in front of a large audience, you know, and comfortably and do it very quickly. You know, bro, to think that it takes some guy, took somebody 15 years, it's like you're almost doing the guy a favor by putting him on the show. You know?
Yeah.
And the guy, he's not that bad. He's not that bad. Like I'm saying, of course, we're talking about Kevin Owens. He's not a bad performer. But, like, you can't just sit there and ignore the fact that, like, hey, there's a reason this guy took 15 years to get on the show. You know? And the reason, like, it's no disrespect to anybody, but, bro, you know, back in the day, the eye test has always counted for something and always should. You know, if you can't pass the eye test, it's very difficult for you to sell you to people, to sell you to an audience, you know? So, I mean, the reason the guy took 15 years, you know, finally, like, we're in an age now where all that really matters to the people in charge is whether or not you're a good worker. So he's got a spot on the show. You know what I mean? But bro, like, let's go back to when, you know, 10 million people were watching professional wrestling instead of 3 million? You know, honestly, half these guys, bro, they wouldn't have been on TV.
Well,
I mean, like, you go ahead.
Right.
Well, yeah. And here's the other thing.
Well,
when these guys were breaking in to the show, the last superstar that I can think of that the WWE debuted before the age of 22 was Randy Orton. Besides that, now you see these guys breaking in at 29, 32, 34. You know, you don't see these guys getting in and having any decent craft. They're all guys that have maybe 3 tools, like Sami Zayn. Is he good at executing? Yeah. Is his selling good? Hell no. Every time I see him trying to get somebody over, it's like I literally will get up and take a piss. And
go ahead.
It's just frustrating.
Well, bro, you gotta understand, and this is the gauge that you gotta get. This is what people don't like. This is what the echo chamber and the wrestling bubble just ignores. Okay, there's I've intermittently watched wrestling and have been for years because, bro, when the shows, I'm like your typical television viewer. If a show's not good, I don't watch it. I don't like watch a show I don't like and then bitch and blog about it, about how bad it is. You know, the normal viewer, if they're satisfied with a product or satisfied with the show, they'll watch it. If they don't like it, they won't. You know, so I can speak from the perspective of somebody that doesn't watch the show, okay? Now, what you have is here in the wrestling bubble in the echo chamber, okay, you have all these guys, basically this niche audience of fans, And, you got all these podcasts and stuff and everything. And, bro, they're all just regurgitating the same stuff. They're all talking about the creative, Roman Reigns. They're all regurgitating everything. But, but nobody's saying, you know what? Did anybody really think that, maybe just the product, that the actual wrestling isn't that good anymore? That maybe the actual performers aren't worth enough to keep the viewer tuned in? Bro, there's just 3 million people watching. We've lost 70%. My gauge has always been, back in the day, when Nitro and Raw were, bro, this is a little sidebar. To put in perspective how popular wrestling was, on Monday night, the Monday night viewing audience for wrestling is like the same for Monday Night Football on ESPN.
Right. Exactly.
Think about that, Okay, so that's a massive audience and a massive pop culture, okay? So now we've lost 70%. Is and people want to know, well, why it happened? They're blaming the book and everything. Well, let me tell you something. Back in 1998, if you went down the roster of each show and took a World Heavyweight Championship belt and put it over the shoulder of every guy and took the guy and put him on Good Morning America with Kelly Ripa and tried to sell him to an audience of fans that don't watch wrestling and said, hey, this is the face of the WWF. This is the face of pro wrestling. Watch our show, okay? How many guys could you have done it with back then compared to today?
Right. That's true.
I mean, what was that? Back then, what, 30, 35, 40 guys? That back in the day? And now how many can you do that with? 6
4.
or 7?
If that.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So, bro, you got to, so the echo chamber of of the fans and the people that are fans of it and the people that watch the product, all they talk about is how great these guys' work is, how great the workers are, how great the matches are, how great but bro, I'm trying to say is a lot of these people that everybody thinks are so good, if you took a World Heavyweight title belt, put it on their shoulder and put them on Good Morning America, the people would laugh. People people would laugh at the product. A lot of them would say, wow, that's the pro wrestling champion? It's so that's what you're stuck with today. You got a lot of guys that just don't pass the eye test, but everybody thinks that work is so important, work is so great, and I'm like, bro, you're not getting my dollar. I quit spending $9.99 on the network, but I started doing it again because I started watching the old Raws from the Attitude Era. And I was like, bro, I wasn't thinking about, well, if they took the show on, if this week they didn't air a live Raw, and they aired a WWE Attitude Era show from July of 1998, and stuck it on TV, I wonder what the rating would be. Because the shows back then were so much better. They're so much better than they are today. And then there's no competition. Yeah, there was competition, but I wonder what those shows would do today, rating-wise, compared to the actual show they put on. And I'm telling you what, if people watched it one week, I bet you they'd probably want to watch it the next week too, because wrestling was just cool back then, man. I mean, there's always these people that think that we're the old veterans and we're bitter. No, I'm not bitter, because I'd be bitter if I was if wrestling was popular and I was kind of ignored. You know what I'm saying? Wrestling's not popular, and it's not popular because you look at the crowd these days. It's all guys. All mid-20 guys. So, bro, you go watch some of the Raws and the Nitros that's on the network. Bro, just look at where they pan the crowd. There are tons of hot chicks in the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, every single week there's hot chicks. There's hot chicks. There's hot chicks. Now it's geeks. It's your crowd at wrestling shows today, because I've done them before. I've been in both places. Bro, it looks very similar to a wrestling to a comic book convention. It's the same kids. And that's seriously, bro. That's exactly the fans. That's what the crowd looks like. It looks like the kids that go to comic book conventions, and that's and that's what you're stuck with, bro. It's not hip. It's not cool. It is what it is.
I love it.
It's something that
just go call them geeks.
Well,
it's something.
Let's be honest. What type of people show up to wrestling to a show just to troll the show with their stupid chants and stuff to get themselves over? You know, I mean, like the audience these days is filled with just internet trolls, and that's what they are. You know, like they'll just troll the show,
Tweeting on their phone, tweeting, Facebooking.
Facebook chanting. You know, they'll just randomly boo the bad guy, they'll boo the good guys, cheer the bad guys, just to try to ruin the show. You know what I'm saying? It's like they've ruined the experience for the casual wrestling fan that likes to go to just watch it and, you know, cheer the good guy, boo the bad guys, type of thing. Now it's like, you know, your audience is like a bunch of critics and internet trolls all in the live audience. And they're all in unison and organized, and, you know, they got the chants ready, and, you know, they're just, you know, they can't wait to boo Roman Reigns and John Cena, and they can't wait to, you know, they can't wait to cheer for Kevin Owens, even though he's supposed to be a heel, and just, you know, bro, it's so discombobulated right now. The product is so upside down, and, like, you know, that the fan base that you've drawn are like, you know, it's honestly, I've said this before. The half the crowd, you wish they wouldn't even show up. You know, you wish they wouldn't even show up because, like, all they're doing is just trying to ruin everything. You know, and that's where we've gotten to, and it's just, it's a reality that's hard to argue against. You know, because I just tell everybody that they talk about things that are good, and they go, bro, I just look at the numbers. You know, your rating every week just tells you how popular your product is. And until the ratings go up, popularity of the product is not going to increase.
It's something that when you talk about the wrestlers, with a lot of the wrestlers today just worry about how their work is in the ring. It's something that Sting, Hogan, and even Bubba Ray said, ironically, right when he left TNA to go to WWE. They all said in different interviews that if a lot of the young guys realize that what they do in the ring is only 10% of the business. It's so much more to the business than just what goes on in the ring. And that's true. Everybody, I did this move, I did this spot, I did this flip. I got the crowd to pop, but does anybody remember who you are? They remember the spot. You know, you did like a flip or 450 or, you know, whatever moves they do now. But then they do have any lasting appeal. So I want to ask you, Disco, you mentioned about the face test. You said most of the wrestlers today, I guess in this generation, want to work in the Attitude Era. Now, I've been watching wrestling since the late 80s. Now, Iggy Mark, he's a little older. He goes back in the early 80s, even 70s. Name people that you see now on WWE Disco, on TNA, that are popular today, but you know for a fact they wouldn't have made it on the Nitros. They wouldn't have made it on Raw.
Oh, boy. I mean, I don't like...
That's how we do it here.
I'm not saying... Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay? Is that there's... I'm not gonna say they wouldn't be on TV, okay? But I would say as they are presented right now,
right?
Because that's the thing, bro. You probably would have taken. We would have probably taken, like, back in the day. If a guy had skills, we probably would have dressed him up and tried to give him a character, not just presented him for, like you said, like his indie character. Like I'm saying, Kevin Owens wouldn't be on. You know, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. A lot of the guys, a lot of the Ring of Honor guys, just wouldn't have had spots. They would have been mid card at best. And if you look down the card, back in the mid card, back in WCW days, you know, bro, it was me, Alex Wright, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Juventud Guerrero, Psychosis, Conan, Chris, bro, there's future world champions and guys with characters. You know, that there wasn't a spot for guys that were high flyers that do spots that nobody else would have wanted to do with them. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing too. Is like a lot of the stuff these guys do today, like they wouldn't be able to do it back then because like a lot of guys wouldn't have done the spots with them. We said no, we're not doing that. You know, that doesn't make any sense. You know, but basically, bro, like, you gotta understand, and this is what I try to tell because I still teach wrestling today. Okay, I teach a class, and It's pretty simple. I just teach you guys how to punch and kick and sell. That's it. That's my Wednesday class at this wrestling school I teach at. I just teach them the skills that make them look like they can actually fight, which is a forgotten art in wrestling today because not half the guys look like they can't even fight for real. But back when I was coming up with my character, okay, and I was telling you, I was using the influences of sports entertainers, and this is what truly gets you over. And this is what if you try to tell these kids today, try to explain to them that what is important, and they'll look at you like they don't think it is important. Bro, when I was creating my gimmick, I would watch I basically used the same style as the Honky Tonk Man had. Okay, you have to have, in order to get over, you have to do things in that ring that fans can imitate. Okay, that if a fan wants to act like he's you, he has things that he can do. Okay, the Honky Tonk Man used to have the dance and stuff and everything. Ric Flair had the woo. Macho Man will have the ooh yeah and stick his finger up in the air. People would talk like the Sheik would talk. Hulk Hogan has the ear cup thing. There's so many characters that have characteristics that if me and you were 12 years old and we said let's have a wrestling match, okay? And I said, okay, I'm the Disco Inferno, and you said I'm the Honky Tonk Man. We'll have things we can do, characteristics and moves that basically identify our characters. If I told you, like two 12-year-old kids today said, one says I'm Dolph Ziggler and the other says I'm Sami Zayn, what is it going to do? They're just going to wrestling shut. I mean, what are they going to do? That means
they're going to hug. They're going to hug.
Too many guys playing their hair.
Too many wrestlers don't have any type of identifiable characteristics and things that they do that a fan can imitate. The only one that just sticks out, and the reason he got over so huge is because it stuck out like a sore thumb, is about Daniel Bryan got the yes chance. Nobody else has any really audience participation stuff going on. The crowd sings the Olay song with Sami Zayn, but that's just from the Montreal Canadiens. He's from Canada, and that's what the Canadian fans sing at the hockey game. So that's not really a identifiable characteristic. But if you're pretending you're Daniel Bryan and you're a 10-year-old kid and you wrestle the other kid, you're gonna go yes before you fight him, right? So it's there's no identifiable characteristics that these guys have. They're not doing any sports entertainment. They're just going out there and wrestling each other. So
you got two kids saying Mark Henry, I'm Big Show. What do you do?
Yeah, this thing, but Mark Henry was like sexual chocolate. The Big Show, the Big Show has the big, hand, there's just certain things, you just gotta have.
Even then.
Yeah. So. But the guys these days, nobody has anything.
So, Disco, you had the opportunity to work multiple different occasions with TNA Wrestling. You were there, for the Jarrett years, and I believe the beginning of when Dixie Carter came in, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, explain to us how it was working for Jeff Jarrett and then seeing Jeff's role diminish due to Dixie and Panda Energy coming in. Tell us about how it was to work with them both individually.
I liked Dixie, okay, when she came in because she was so nice, But the one thing, and Jeff was stubborn, because basically she bailed the company out financial-wise, right? So, the problem that they had was because Jeff, was an old school guy, and his dad's an old school guy, and they have a lot of respect for the business. That when they saw Dixie come in, they just didn't have they kind of looked at her as the money mark. They didn't really respect the fact that she didn't know anything about. Of course, she didn't really know much about wrestling at all. Okay, but the problem is dude, if she's writing the checks. And she has an idea she wants you to use, just one idea, or just go ahead and use it. Don't just ignore it just because she usually thinks she doesn't know wrestling. She's writing the checks. It's let's just appease her. Make her happy. If she wants to push this guy, who cares? Let's just push this guy. Give him a shot. It's everything. But like that was the problem where their friction with each other started. Is basically, she would like try to run. She tried to, it's like the owner of the team. If Jerry Jones has an idea, you think the coach is going to say, "I go screw yourself." You stick to owning, I'll stick to coaching. You know what I mean? So it's like that's the main problem that was created with that environment.
Huh. So when it comes to TNA, we've seen them bounce from network to network to network.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And, when Vince Russo and yourself were there, you guys were drawing the highest ratings in TNA history.
I don't know if it was Vince was actually doing the show. I wasn't involved when they were doing the highest ratings. Vince was there. I left in 2008. 2011 or so, or 2000, maybe it was, maybe 2009, maybe it was. Maybe we were doing the highest ratings. Yeah.
Well,
maybe so. Yeah.
You guys were drawing 1-5 and 2-0.
1-5 and 2-0, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And so when you guys, were doing all that, tell us what character did you most stay involved with? Was there one particular character that you were like, you know what, I'm gonna work with this guy. I want to see him get over, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes.
Oh no, the X Division guys. Let me tell you, I love talent. Okay, I love to see guys with talent, and I'd like to try to teach them how to, interject the old school skills. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because back in 2003 specifically, when we were doing the Asylum shows, and you had America's Most Wanted fighting Triple X, and you had Satan and Kazir, bro, these guys, that was an unbelievable time, because, bro, this is before, cruiserweight style had kind of, lost its way over the past 10 years or so. Where it's kind of like, bro, these guys were doing incredible spots, and they were selling correctly. They were like a high-impact move, was sold. Guys would kill each other, but they would act like they killed each other. You know what I'm saying? It's like back then, the spots weren't, big powerful moves weren't just transitions into other spots. These guys were basically, they had they were doing incredible things, and they understood they had to put a leash on themselves. Like that style now, it's kind of like gone off the tracks. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then maybe it's because Scott D'Amore and myself and stuff, and maybe they don't have that old school influence anymore. I'm not even gonna say it was all them, but but we would just inject the proper knowledge that you needed to keep the product keep it real. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff was good. So I was I loved working with the cruiserweight guys. The X Division guys, and bro, I invented Ultimate X was my idea. I came up with that. Yeah, I came up with that. I mean, people sit there and say, if they don't cruiserweight style and everything, you can sit there and say I'm old school. He didn't gimmick. But bro, I'm very well educated in the X Division style because I was an agent for a lot of those matches back in the day. And I came up with the Ultimate X idea, and I came, I was, I had a lot of influence on the X Division style back then. So.
Well, so speaking of the X Division, if I can. One of the patriarchs of the X Division, one of the, I guess you would say that the Mount Rushmore, one of the people in the Mount Rushmore of the X Division would be Joe. Samoa Joe, of course. Great matches with AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, so forth, so on. What are your thoughts of Joe back in the X Division now compared to seeing him work in WWE if you have seen him?
he was a unique guy. You know, because, like, bro, like, he gained his name, you know, working with the X Division guys and basically, you know, been beating the hell out of them. You know, but it was entertaining. You know, he was kind of like doing what he was doing to the X Division guys back then. What Brock Lesnar does to the main guys now. You know, he had that appeal of like a legit killer guy, and you didn't know if he was going to snap in there and go bonkers on the guy and kill the guy with his bare hands at some point. You know, so he had that appeal. You know, so I don't know where he lost his way or creatively what they went wrong with it or something. But when he was doing that was the most entertaining stuff he did. You know what I'm saying? AJ,
was it your idea to give him the shank?
What now?
Was it your idea to have Joe carry around that knife that he had in TNA?
To do what now?
Remember when Samoa Joe, remember Angry Mark? Samoa Joe was walking around, had that long knife.
Yeah, that long blade he was carrying.
That long blade. That wasn't your idea, was it, Disco?
I don't know. I don't remember that. I honestly don't remember that. That was my idea. No. That wasn't my idea. That wasn't my idea.
Yeah, prior to the time he painted his face, he had like this long knife or sword. And who was up from Angry Mark? Was it Scott? Was it Scott Stein or was it Taz?
Oh, maybe. You know what? I might not have been there then. That might have been one of those periods of time when I wasn't. Yeah, I was in and out of TNA over the years. So, yeah, I think that was a period of time when I wasn't there.
I will say that because of your booking, that's one of the things that got me into TNA was I kept hearing, my buddies, my co-host, NXT Gameboy, talking about Joe, and I'm like, who's Joe? And we play video games. So like the Joe I know, this by Joe was the guy from SNK, the King of Fighters. They're like, no, it's the wrestler Joe. He like kill people, and I'm like, this Samoan guy with these multicolored shorts that's killing people. I'm like, good Lord, and he's beating, and that's the X Division is the reason why I started watching TNA was Joe, and then low key with the Warriors way, the double stomp, and all of those matches. I'm like, wow, and I in my first TNA match watching was Joe against Liger. And, of course, we always loved Liger in the 80s, and he's always my favorite Japanese wrestlers. And I thought Joe killed Liger and, beat him up. But it just goes to test that Joe wrestled, then they killed each other and made you believe it. Of course, we knew it was a work, but it still was some realism to it. And Joe would hit somebody in the muscle buster. AJ with the Styles Clash, they actually sold it. Now you have guys, me and Angry Mark in the shows, indie shows, and somebody would do like a vertical suplex to a table and they kick out. But at the end of the match, they lose to a clothesline. It's like the table wasn't strong enough to beat you, but a regular clothesline is. Doesn't make any sense at all. But to that, see, I'm before Angry Mark continues, I want to bring in one of my correspondents, Toph. Toph, you there, brother?
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight?
Hey, you're going to get you live with Disco.
Hey, Disco. I'm a big fan of your work. You're one of my favorite comedy acts of all time. What do I call you? Do I call you Mr. Disco, Mr. Inferno, or Mr. Disco Inferno?
Everybody calls me Disco.
Okay, Disco. Here's my question for you, Disco. This is something that has been going on for a while. Now, you had the dancing thing with Alex Wright, and, I've been listening to you since the show started, and you've gone into great detail about stars from today being compared to stars of yesterday. And, the whole dancing thing, it worked back then. And for the past, I want to say, 5 to 6 years, we've seen a plethora of dancing gimmicks from numerous promotions, and no one really seems to care. It didn't really work with Brodus Clay. It didn't work with Fandango. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there's a new young guy on NXT called No Way Jose who has a very entertaining dancing gimmick, and some people are actually comparing him to you. And some people think that when this guy makes it to the main roster, he'll basically be like the first guy with a dancing gimmick to be successful, really since you, because I've said it for years to many of my friends that you and Alex Wright were really the only two guys that pull off on a mainstream wrestling product. So it just, for some reason, it's just not working. Since, it's your gimmick, you're kind of the one that mainstreamed it, why do you think these dancing gimmicks don't really translate in today's audience? Do you think it's a hip-hop culture thing? Do you think it's a fan disconnect? I mean, what do you think?
Oh, well, it's very simple. The guy doing the gimmicks was very uncomfortable doing it. It looks like they said that, hey, this is your gimmick, and the guy doesn't like doing it, doesn't feel comfortable doing it, and doesn't really know how to do it. There's a certain confidence and cockiness you have to have when you're out there, when you're doing what like me and Alex would do. You know, you have to be able to feel that, like, you know, that you've got sex appeal, and that, you know, you can act like a jackass and make the crowd react. You know what I'm saying? So I knew, like, in my mind, because I'd watched so much of the Honky Tonk Man and so much together, I'd watched so many guys and knew how important timing was and when to do something, that when I would go out there and do it, I just felt comfortable doing it. I felt comfortable doing my gimmicks. You can just tell that the guys these days, they gave them these dancing gimmicks, they can't dance, and they don't feel comfortable doing it. Now, I didn't even like my gimmick was, I wanted to do it like the Honky Tonk Man. I didn't want to do it like I danced good. I wanted, like, the Honky Tonk Man wasn't a good dancer. But, like, if I'm out there acting like I think I'm good, you know, and doing it, the people buy that. You know what I'm saying? So they're not buying what these other guys are selling, because you can tell that they just don't feel comfortable doing what they're doing.
Okay.
Shoot.
Do you get that when you watch them?
Yeah, I get that. I especially got it with Fandango. When I saw Fandango, I saw a very talented guy that just wanted to get on TV. And, you know, when you want to get on TV, I would imagine, you know, when you're working for a promotion, they give ideas, and you don't want to rock the boat and say no, you know. So if they give you an idea, you say yes, just so you can get on TV. So that's definitely the concept I got from Fandango. I got it from Brodus Clay. I know he's a fan of the program. Again, I'm not sure if you're familiar with No Way Jose. I'm not sure if you've seen his work, but a lot of people are comparing him to you.
I have.
What do you think? Do you think he can be successful?
Let me tell you something. Okay, you know the funniest thing? You know who's an unbelievable dancer and doesn't do it because it's not his character? But I tell you what, if he did do it, the guy would be a mega star. You'd be shocked. You know who can dance like a son of a bitch? AJ Styles. AJ Styles.
I believe that.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine AJ Styles up there, like, busting some cool ass like B-boy type moves in there? Like look at that guy Jack. You see that guy Jack Evans? However he is in Mexico and stuff. Bro, AJ can do all that. AJ can do all that. And I was trying to get him, like, bro, why don't you? I don't understand why you don't do it. Like, because I was always said, if I had AJ's skills doing my gimmick, I was like, bro, imagine how popular you would be. You know, instead of just being a professional wrestler, you'd be a sports entertainer that was an incredible professional wrestler. I just thought that's a little sidebar, but yeah, that's the way Jose looks all right. But basically, you know, we'll see how confident he is. We'll see when he gets on the main stage if he looks like a guy that's out there thinking too much because he's trying to follow the script, or if he feels comfortable and natural doing the character that they've given him. That'll tell the story.
Now, Disco, you're in Sin City.
Yep.
Currently. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on out there in regards to wrestling. You've had Jeff Jarrett filmed. I was at the first setting of tapings. Saw Scott. Saw Jeff over there at the hotel. A buddy of mine was there. Tell me your thoughts on two things: Global Force and that other rumored promotion that was supposed to happen in Vegas with Jake, some other guys that, you know, they're talking benefits, everything. Did you hear anything about that as well?
Yes. Global's a good little. Global's basically a gimmick that Jeff. He could build a brand, tour, make money, sell merch. Will they get a TV deal? I don't know, bro. Because you look at the landscape of wrestling today. What TV networks are going to buy wrestling? based on what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's a hard sell. But the Global Force brand, the Global Force brand, he can they do shows. They do tours. It's got enough viral following where he can promote it. And stuff and everything. So I'm all for that. I see nothing wrong with that. The other promotions here, when I heard about it, I was like, I'll believe it when I see it. Because they were talking about getting all these legends and doing 7 shows a week. I'm like, what legends are going to work 7 days a week? And then you talk about the money, this guy's got money. Whenever I hear about all the money somebody has, it's usually somebody that doesn't have any money. When you're hearing rumors like bro, money marks just show the money. They don't tell you how much they have. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
It's like that whole thing just seemed like a work from the get-go. And then now I saw this gimmick on Facebook where the guy's like they're looking for investors. I'm like, what are you talking about, investors? Like, I thought the guy had all the money. So it's like, bro, just that is what it is. There's so many works that go on in professional wrestling that, like, people want to act like they're somebody, and they want to get their name out there and be relevant, and they're usually just full of shit, So
now, with that being said, a couple months ago we had a buddy of yours on the show, Vince Russo. We had him on for damn near 2 hours.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we called that was our marathon interview.
Yeah.
Now, what I would love to hear from you is a good backstage or road story with Vince Russo that you haven't told on another podcast.
Okay, backstage. Let me think here. A road stories. Oh, bro, I was, did I ever really tell you this? I don't think I've really told this story, but, in detail. But, the way when Vince was basically in Atlanta and he was working at CD Warehouse, okay, and he had this kid working for him called the Dog Man, okay, and because the guy would answer the phone, like, well, he goes, CD Warehouse, there's a Dog Man, he was a real southern kid and everything, and like the kid was just real eccentric, like there would be a story of like some guy kidnapped, there was an Amber Alert, some guy kidnapped a girl, and he's like, the kid would be working at the store, well, I'm gonna go find this guy, and like literally leave the store, and get in his car and drive around, go looking for the guy in the ambulance, so just that was nuts, right? So I would go see Vince, like go hang out, like we shoot the BS. And it just got to the point where I'm telling him, like, bro, why don't you try to, this is 2002, I'm like, well, why don't you try to go back to Vince, And he's like, no, I'm not. I go, look, dude. I go, and this is when when he left, I think they were doing like 5 9s and 6s, we're like the ratings, right? And they were doing like 4, like there'd been a steady decline. So this is 2002, so from 99 to 2000, actually from 99 to 2000, they maintained good business, okay, after Vince left, because they had the, it was still like the same ratings. From 2000 to 2002, they lost their way, okay? The WWE was like just going down. The ratings were like a 4.6, then a 4.5, then a 4. They were just going down. I'm like, well, why don't you go talk to Vince? He's like, no. I go, look, bro. I go, if they go under a 4, I go, will you go talk to Vince Russo? So basically that means that they would have lost like, let me see, 6s to a 4, 2 basically lost a third of their audience in 2 years, right? So he goes, oh, bro, the next week they did a 3.9. I said, look, bro, you got to go, you got to do it. He's like, oh, geez, all right. So he said, he goes, so he called Vince and Vince McMahon. And I don't know if Vince has ever repeated this, but basically he told me, like, that the second he talked to Vince on the phone, like, hey, Vince, how you doing? And he said Vince McMahon was like, oh, God, bro, Vince, things are terrible, crazy. He just went off on how bad things were, okay? So that started the wheels of, like, the wheels in motion to bringing Vince back to the WWE, which never happened because, because everything had changed, and Stephanie was basically in charge, and he knew it wouldn't work. So, but it was funny that if they never had gotten below a 4.0, and then, bro, that was a 4.0. back in 2002, and back then we thought it was terrible. Like, my God, so think about that. In a 3-year period of time from 99 to 2002, wrestling lost a third of its audience. Well, actually, they lost a massive audience from WCW, and WWE had lost. So basically, we lost a combined audience of, like, what was it, 50% of the fans, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So wrestling from 99 to 2002 lost 50% of the fans. And we thought that was the bottom out point. Fast forward 13 years, bro, they've almost lost another half of their audience from 2002. Like the numbers, like, you know, it's staggering and mind-boggling how professional wrestling lost its way, and just the mistake.